This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free. There will be no children allowed.
Hey, y'all. Hold on a minute. My phone was on. That would have been bad. My camera was on, but I put the piece of tape over my computer so nobody can see. You know that, like, Google can, like, see your camera and everything through your computer? It's crazy. So, today, good morning, Joy. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's so good to see you guys here. Hold on a minute. Let me clear my throat. Okay. So this morning, I'm going to pull up a video and it's going to kind of explain what we're going to do here today. I don't know how into investigations you guys are, but if you're really into it like me, you might want to grab some paper and pen. I have mine out and ready. It's a bit slow. I made sure the kids weren't on the internet today, so I'm working on pulling up the video. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. There it is. Okay, let me get it pulled up so you guys can see. So this video is going to kind of explain what we're going to do today, and I have done a little bit. I'm going to tell you what I've found so far, and then we will continue to investigate past what I have found. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and play. This video, I saw this, actually my husband pulled it up, and it blew my mind. So it's kind of like what we were talking about the other day.
What's up, TikTok? Another girl coming at you from Letcher County, Kentucky. Born and raised. I love this place. It's my home. I was raised here. I knew Judge Mullins. I knew Sheriff Steins. I know their families.
Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
I'm here to talk about the corruption that has been here for decades that I know of. Probably longer, probably deeper than any of us know.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think, so going back to what we were talking about, if the sheriff is corrupt and the judge is corrupt, how far does it go, right? Like, is it just going to be, like possible drug related stuff or racketeering kind of stuff, or, you know, what was going on in the courthouse, or is there actual bodies? So we're going to investigate unsolved or suspicious murders in the county and see what we can find during the time period that Mickey Steins was sheriff and see what they look like.
It can be a really dark place. It can be a really dark place. But with all the attention that's being focused here right now, I thought it might be a good time to tell you about what I know.
She is so pretty. Diane says, it's happening here in Mass too, with some shady LEOs is disturbing. Massachusetts is crazy. I went to Mission Hill, Massachusetts, which is like an area of Boston where there's like a college. I lived on Mission Hill when I was 17. I went there with my boyfriend for 2 months. and I worked at a sub shop, and they would give me tips just to say, "Hey y'all, how you doing?" And but we could go to the top of this hill, and we could sit at the top of this hill and see right down into the stadium where they had baseball games. It was pretty cool. But Massachusetts, like, it was, from me coming from the South, it was like a whole nother world. Like the subway, the first time I rode the train that goes like underground, I got sick because it was going so fast. Um, it was just like everything was so fast. I like the South better. Things are a lot slower down here.
No. To tell you about the things that I do know to be true. Not theories, not rumors. Truth. Truth. You guys might have the time and the resources to look into things that I don't. See how many people in Letcher County have been murdered. See how many of those people had connections to our courthouse. See how many of those murders are unsolved.
Now, I don't know how to see if they have connections to the courthouse, but we, like I said, are going to look for unsolved murders in that county. And I've got 3. One of them goes back kind of far, though, so I don't know if it's related.
I know at least one. Jack Blair. I'm his daughter. 24 years ago, this very day, his remains were laying in a car on its top on Pine Mountain. I can see it from where I'm sitting. 250 feet over the mountain. His remains would stay there until October 15th in 2000. I had just turned 18 years old. My dad went missing June 30th. He was involved in some stuff. If you want to Google him, go ahead.
We're going to Google him. I'm going to put my trigger warning up because she does talk about some things. It happens, you know, things like this happen out in the world, and I feel really bad for this woman. It's a hard story to listen to, but it's going to give us some insight on the people in this county and the way they're running things. Good morning, Anders. I'm sorry I didn't see you. Yeah, I think it was the Boston Red Sox. Yeah, and lobsters are popular up there. My mama was from Maryland, and she always talked about the lobsters up there, but she came down here when she was like 3.
There's nothing that he's done that I am ashamed to say that he did, because nothing that he has done is worse than anything that these people in the news are being accused of right now. What I will tell you is he was a good man, and he was my dad. He was a son. He was a husband, a brother. He was missing for 3.5 months. 3.5 months. A detective wasn't even assigned to the case until after his remains were found.
Now, I don't understand. I mean, there is a reason why a detective might not have been assigned to the case, because he was a grown man. So maybe when he went missing, they thought, well, maybe he just wants to go missing. He just don't want to be found. So if that was the case, then maybe that's why they didn't assign a detective to the case. I don't know what happened the day he went missing. We're going to try to find out and see what we can pull on it. If there were suspicious circumstances the day that he went missing and the family told the police that, then the fact that a detective wasn't assigned to the case would be worrisome. But just a missing person, like, I don't know. I'm not sure that like a missing adult would have a detective assigned to the case, because, you know, they'll be like, you know, well, sometimes adults don't want to be found.
By a man scouting for deer on his property.
Anders,
He came upon the car.
I dream of going to Switzerland. I want to go to Switzerland so bad. I want to see the Alps. Oh my gosh. Like, I I wish that I could, you could come here and then we could go there. My family could go over there and your family could go over here for a little while. And we could just switch places for about a month or two.
Saw that there was a body inside. Contacted the local sheriff at the time. The state police were on the scene. The state police commissioner, I believe it was, the state police captain, Danny Webb. He was in charge of the investigation. I know at least 2 state troopers who were present when my father's remains were removed from the car that they were in.
Okay, Michelle. Yeah, you can catch the replay if you want to. I appreciate you being here.
Who begged for his remains not to be taken out of that car until the crime scene specialist came and did it. Because they have a saying apparently in the state police. It says, if it's showing bone, leave it alone. Well, my father had been decomposing for 3.5 months. He was bound in jumper cables. I say bound in jumper cables because...
So they come upon this body of this man that had been missing for 3.5 months. She's talking about the slang or saying in the with the crime lab is, if it's showing bone, leave it alone. After 3.5 months, and I think it was during the period of the summer, his body would be showing bones. And she just said that he was tied up with jumper cables. Grease would be good.
Because it wasn't an accident that he was entangled in those. It was intentional. He couldn't have done it himself. It was decided by the medical examiner and one of the detectives that it would have been impossible for him to wrap himself in those cables like this on his own. This is from his autopsy report, which I have lots of newspaper articles like this, and like this, and like this, and this.
So I don't know if you saw, but the name of that newspaper clipping she had, the news article or the paper was called the Mountain Eagle. So we're going to look them up and see what they say about suspicious deaths in the area.
Got all kinds. Got all kinds. The state medical examiner and the forensic anthropologist renowned in her field, Dr. Emily Craig, she performed the autopsy in Frankfurt, which his body was taken to Frankfurt. I believe it was the next day, that night or the next day, after the crime scene had been traveled by a lot of local rescue squads, fire departments, things of that nature. Dr. Craig now uses in seminars, in trainings that she does, she uses my father as an example of what not to do when removing a body or someone's remains from a crime scene.
So we know from the words that flashed on the screen a minute ago, when she was talking about her dad, it said that, he had been busted. There was drugs seized. Okay. And then he's missing. Nobody's looking for him. He ends up deceased, and the state, the police, the fire, the ambulance, everybody that comes in tramples the crime scene so bad that it's used in classes as an example of what not to do. So, speculating here, if the police are corrupt, if they were working with this man to move drugs, bring drugs, whatever, they had some kind of falling out. They already knew what happened when the family came to report him missing because they had done it. or something to that effect. So, of course, they're not going to look for him. They already know where he's at. They're just waiting on somebody to find him. And then they trample the crime scene and mess up evidence so bad because they don't want to get caught. It is a possible theory. Again, the whole thing is speculation. This is all just speculation. But if we're talking about them being corrupt, I think it's a possibility. And if you're trained in how to deal with deceased bodies and things like that when you are a police officer, you're trained in how to handle these situations. Why was this one botched so bad? What is the reason for them botching this one so bad? Like, human error, possibly, but it doesn't seem like everybody that went out there would be so negligent accidentally.
It was that bad. It was that bad. Once she started to perform the autopsy, she realized that not everything was there that should have been there. So the cadaver dogs were taken back up to the mountain to find most of what was missing. Now, 24 years later, we know nothing more now than we knew then. The jumper cables weren't even fingerprinted. I mean, I'm not a detective. I'm not a police officer, but I think it could have. It was worth a shot. It was worth a shot.
They did not even fingerprint the jumper cables, y'all. That again, there's room for human error, okay, but that much human error, it doesn't sound legitimate to me. And Jenny, you have a good point, honey. I don't see there being that much human error.
So the state police commissioner then, guess what he ran for right after my dad's murder? Got it. Sheriff of Letcher County. He was the sheriff of Letcher County until Mickey Steins won the election, until Mickey Steins was sheriff of Letcher County. There's a lot to be looked into. There's a lot.
So the police commissioner that botched her daddy's crime scene, ran for sheriff, made sheriff, and then Mickey Steins, who was obviously on the police force and working under this guy that had, when he was the commissioner, had botched this crime scene so bad that everything was just, it's still unsolved to this day. So that man ran for sheriff, became sheriff. Working under him is going to be Mickey Steins and a number of other officers. And then eventually Mickey Steins runs and becomes sheriff. So how far back does this go? Because if the sheriff before him was involved in moving drugs, buying drugs, whatever, and then did get rid of her dad and botched the crime scene so bad that nobody could find out, and Mickey's working under him, did Mickey just follow the role of his mentor? For you to not even fingerprint or try to get any evidence off of the jumper cables that this man was wrapped in, that he obviously did not do himself, it's all really weird and suspicious. That's just trying to not figure out the crime, in my opinion. Yes, generational corruption.
A lot to be looked into, TikTok, and you can have a field day. There's something to think about. Something to look into while you're waiting on more details to come out about the hot topic. Here's some more Letcher County news for you. And I guarantee my daddy's not the only one.
That's true, JR. I'm muted. Yeah, I was saying that. Yeah, that is true, JR. And Murdoch, oh my gosh, that case is insane. His whole family from like 1900, I think it was like actually the 1800s, had been judges and lawyers in that town. They ran that town. I'm going to. So Anders, I don't know that. Like, again, this is all just speculation. I don't know if the sheriff was doing that. But if the town was corrupt and they were brazen enough to take inmates into the judge's chambers to have relations, what else are they into? Possible racketeering, possible money laundering, possible drug dealing, possible murders. And did maybe the judge know something about a murder or something, or any of it, the drug dealing, the sex, all of the things, and were they trying to make Mickey take the fall for it? Or did Mickey Steins off the judge because he knew too much? Like, we're kind of just trying to dig in and see what all is going on in that county as far as unsolved murders. Yeah, so many nice things could be said about the Murdochs. I think his wife and children were absolutely beautiful. I don't think they deserve that at all. I'm going to pull up 2 articles. It looks like we're going to start with this one. When I pull this up, I won't be able to see the comments. So I'm going to get it pulled up so y'all can see it, and then we will read through it. The Murdoch case is weird to me because, like, every single one of your children wanted to become, not every single one, but like there is one of your children throughout that many generations that wants to become a lawyer and a judge. Like, eventually one set of children would more than likely not want to be a lawyer or a judge. Like, how, I mean, it's just, it leaves a lot of room for corruption. Again, if your entire family line is running the town as lawyers and judges from the freaking 1800s, but it could be completely innocent. So we're going to read this article. Let me make sure you guys can see it. Alrighty. So it says, Letcher County murder victim's body found along the same area of road as her murdered daughter. Kentucky State Police conduct investigation into Letcher County murder of woman whose body was found along same road area as her murdered daughter. A third woman was also murdered along the same road before the mother and daughter at the end of 2021. Again, that's suspicious AF. This was March 9th, 2024, written by Wade Queen. It says the Letcher County Coroner's Office pronounced Angela Roberts deceased on scene. So let's get our pen and paper and write down Angela Roberts so we can see what's going on with her, and maybe it'll mention her daughter. Angela. All right. So we got Angela Roberts down. So it says law enforcement officials are investigating after a woman was found shot to death in Letcher County with a macabre connection to the area for the deceased woman. According to the information released on Thursday, March 7th, 2024. So let's write down the date, March 7th. Okay, I wrote it down. At 7:52 Kentucky State Police PM, Kentucky State Police Post 13. That's going to go with the next article that I'm going to pull up. I needed that. Okay, Post 13 in Hazard in Perry County, Kentucky, received a 911 call in reference to a female being located unresponsive near a cemetery. It said Letcher County, and now it's saying Perry County. So maybe maybe it was on the county line or something. Okay, near a cemetery on Dina Blair Hollow Road off Kentucky 931 South at Cohen, located in the Whitesburg community of Letcher County. Kentucky State Police Post 13 troopers, along with medical personnel, responded to the scene. Upon arrival, Angela Roberts, 59, of Bald Mountain Road of Whitesburg, was located deceased from an apparent gunshot wound. Detectives with Kentucky State Police Post 13 responded to the scene and launched an investigation. Letcher County Coroner's Office also responded and pronounced Angela Roberts deceased on the scene. Angela Roberts' body was taken to the medical examiner office in Frankfort, Kentucky, pending an autopsy. This case remains under investigation by Kentucky State Police Post 13 Detective Anthony Trotter. Kentucky State Police have released little other information about the incident, but say it's being investigated as a homicide. At least 2 other women have been redrummed along Kentucky State 931 South since December 2021. The latest was Angela Roberts' daughter. Angela Roberts had been begging for information about who killed Patricia May Trish Roberts Dethridge, 40, last year. So I'm going to write that down. Patricia May Trish Roberts Dethridge, D-A-T-A, Detheridge. Okay. Patricia Detheridge's decomposed body was found tangled in vines over a hillside near her home on Bald Mountain Road on August 1st, 2023. August 1st, 2023. Okay. She had been missing for at least 2 days. Authorities first thought she had fallen. However, an autopsy revealed she had been shot in the head. And that's her. Patricia May Trish Roberts Detheridge, 40, of Whitesburg, Kentucky, was murdered by gunfire on August 1st, 2023, along the same road area and close by to where her now murdered mother's body was found on Thursday, March 7th, 2024. Like, this is suspicious. I can't see you guys' comments right now, so I'm going to finish reading this. I don't know what all you are saying. On Wednesday, March 6th, the day before Angela Roberts' body was discovered, she posted a photo of her daughter on Facebook with the following message. Today, okay, this is the day before the woman was murdered. And the day before, the day before she was murdered, was Trish's 41st birthday. Her post said, "Today I would have been Trish's 41st birthday, and I just want to wish her a happy birthday, no matter if she's in heaven, and let her know how much I love her and miss her. And if anybody knows who shot her, come to me about it, because the cops is not doing nothing. You can let me know anything about it. But if you get any pictures of her today, please put them on Facebook. And my daughter, Patricia May Roberts Dethridge, you will always be in my heart. I love you and miss you. Your mom, Angie Roberts." That's sad. Figure that out, everyone. A woman who was grieving this on the birthday of her deceased daughter, who was murdered last year, is in a deeply disturbing and eerie link. She herself ends up a homicide victim the very next day in nearly the exact same area road as the circumstances of her deceased daughter. Let's see what this link is real quick. Let me check your comments while we're doing that. Okay. So, good morning, JR. They had help getting into law school or out of trouble. Yeah, I think so. For real. I really do. The son he killed was not one from the boating accident. I think it was the one from the boating accident. I'm not sure, though, because I think the older one is the one that's still alive. JR, it's crazy. The amount of drugs that flow freely into these areas. Okay, let's see. I think that's just going to be a link to the same news article. Let me see. Yeah, that's just a link to the same news article. Okay, so let me get the next one pulled up that I needed that post 13 for. So this one's going to be from the Kentucky State Police. Let me pull that up for you guys. That wind is howling out there. Oh. Let me make sure y'all can see it. Okay. So this one is the Kentucky State Police investigate Letcher County death. This is from Blackie, Kentucky, May 22nd, 2024. On Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, at approximately 2:08 p.m., Kentucky State Police Post 13 Hazard received a call in reference to a missing juvenile on Kentucky 588, located in the Blackie community of Letcher County. Troopers, along with the Letcher Fire and Rescue, responded to the scene to begin the search. Shortly after the search began, members with the fire department located 11-year-old Curtis Cash Halcomb non-responsive. So Curtis, God, he was just a baby. Cash Halcomb. Okay. Life-saving measures were taken as he was transported to Whitesburg ARH, where Halcomb was pronounced deceased. Detectives responded to the scene and launched an investigation into his death. Halcomb was transported to the medical examiner's office in Frankfort, pending autopsy. At this time, no foul play is suspected. This incident remains under investigation by Detective Bradley Couch. Okay, so there's like a way that you can search. Let's see. Yep. Let's look up unsolved in that post. If I can get it to scroll down. There it is. Keyword unsolved. Post location. Post 13. Okay, so when would, let's go back to 2000. Let's do January 1st, 2000. Okay. So that's the start date, and then the end date will be today. Well, around this time. What is today? The 10th? Yep. So 10/10/2024. Okay, so let's see what it pulls up. Okay, no results found. Okay. Y'all think of another word that we could search for that one to try to pull up what anybody that was possibly murdered and it was suspicious during that time frame. I have got, okay, I'm going to go ahead and share with y'all the files and we'll get some more names to look up. I'm going to keep that pulled up in case y'all come up with a word that we could search that might pull something up. Until then, we will pull this stuff up. So this one is, hold on, let me get out of here. The one I'm going to pull up is her daddy. That's the first one. Diane says, I've always thought there should be an independent task force to investigate all these types of cases internally. That's where the ball gets dropped, in my opinion. Yeah, agreed. So let me pull up this. Now, I've got 3 of these that give us names of people that we could search independently. I want to make sure you can see it. So this is her daddy, Jack Blair. It says, when Jack Blair was reported missing in July of 2000, many people speculated that he had just skipped town to avoid a prison sentence. After his guilty plea in a cocaine trafficking case, then in October of the same year, the rumors turned out to be false. A hunter scouting for deer discovered Jack's skeletal remains in his car, 250 feet over Pine Mountain. Jack's body was bound in jumper cables that were looped several times around his body. The medical examiner concluded that it was homicide by undetermined means. Many people fear he was murdered because drug dealers thought he had snitched on them, but according to the sheriff, the only illegal activity in his confession was his own. I hope that one day the family finds the peace and justice they seek. Okay, Jenny, let me search that real quick. Hold on. Unusual deaths. So we'll search unusual deaths real quick, and then we'll go through Google. Okay, let's see if anything. No results found. It is the Kentucky State Police, so I don't know that they would show anything, you know what I mean? Okay. Is Internal Affairs the name cops who are investigating other cops? Yes, Anders. All right, I'm going to pull this back up, and I've got some more names here that we can Google search. So this is a John Doe from Letcher County, Kentucky. On October 20th, 1981, the remains of a male subject were located in a trash dump off of US 119 in the Pine Mountain area. Lord, I need to drink some of my coffee. I keep messing my words up. Okay. In the Pine Mountain area of Letcher County, all clothing and personal items were missing. The victim was between the ages of 32 and 36, 6'2", 190 pounds, brown hair with blue eyes. He had a previously broken and healed nose, previously broken and healed tailbone, and an old head injury of the left parietal and temporal bone. And that's what he looked like. Could it be, again, speculating, maybe somebody that was bringing something into the county and ended up dead? Here's another one. Dexter Cook. On June 4th, 1984, the body of Dexter Cook was found inside his vehicle with multiple gunshot wounds. The vehicle was parked alongside of Kentucky 588 at Premium in Letcher County. Evidence at the scene suggests Dexter Cook was not shot while inside of the vehicle. The autopsy determined the death to be between the hours of 6 and midnight on June 2nd, 1984. To date, the perpetrators have not been identified and brought to trial. So let's write down the name Dexter Cook. Okay, Jack Blair was, I think, June 5th. I'm going to put 2000. And then Dexter Cook is June 4th, 1984. That's crazy. If I am right about the June 5th date for Jack Blair, they're like right beside each other. Okay, this is where I looked up the cities or towns in the area of Letcher County. And this is a list of towns, but like they're talking about like the Pine Mountain and a couple other places that aren't even on here. So I don't even know if this is like legitimate right now. So I do have another video for us to watch. And while we watch that, I will pull up, excuse me. While we do that, I'll pull up Google and we will search some of these names and things on Google and see what's going on. By the way, tomorrow I will cover the interrogation of Jennifer Soto that I just got put out. I think it was part of the other immunity deal, but I'm not sure. Okay, hold on. Let me get it pulled up and then I will share the page. Okay. So I got this short clip and then we'll play the longer one. Okay. Let me pull this up for you. Okay, hold on. Let me back it up. Okay. Yeah, genealogy DNA can be used to identify the Jane and John Doe. That's right. Diane says they sound like hits, all rug related. Yeah, it does. It sounds like that too. And for that Jane Doe or the Dexter Cook to be found, like 16 years before Jack Blair, that girl's daddy, in the car, like almost the same circumstances. Like, it sounds to me like maybe the same perpetrator did it, or the same group of perpetrators, if you get my drift. And they used a pew-pew in 1984, but by the time 2000 came, they knew a pew-pew could be tracked. So they decided to use jumper cables that time. Need to keep up with the highway number. I can look up who owns the land around it through hunting app. Oh, that's good, Solistic Glow. We'll have to go back and get that. Thank you for that. I'm going to play this real quick.
But frankly, after we heard the shocking news yesterday, and I don't know that we've ever had a judge killed in the courthouse by a sheriff before in the history. We wondered, was there a connection between the ongoing lawsuit we filed and the timing of all this?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah, but I just only 10 seconds because that's all the time we've got. But was the sheriff at all agitated during the deposition, defensive, angry?
Probably all of them.
So I pulled this up because it told me that the deposition lasted 8 hours. So I'm assuming that means he was on the stand being questioned for 8 hours. For real? And then it was right after that, I think it's 2 to 4 days at the most, that he shot the judge.
Of those.
All right. Well, clearly you were touching a nerve of.
We'll back that up.
Probably all of those.
All right. Well, clearly you were touching a nerve of some kind. Ned Pillersdorf, please come back to us if you have any more, learn any more information. This is an unbelievable story, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks so much for watching.
Okay, so that was that, and we're going to watch this. This is from 2 days ago. Solar that's what you said about looking up the highways in the area is such a great idea. So if you guys want to do that or get interested in this at all after the live, that is something to look up: suspicious murders or deaths along highway, and then the name of the highway. So this one says, more updates on the shooting of Kentucky judge. Fights break out at Shaq's restaurant. I was like, what? For real?
You're listening to an Ono Media podcast.
All right, well, listen to this.
Good morning, and thanks for joining me for Rise in Crime, your morning caffeine hit all about crime. I'm Mama Jules, and we knew that there would be more coming out of Letcher County, Kentucky. The whole story is still not out there.
Let me say, I'll have to add that first one where we saw the video from the girl talking about her daddy. Please, I'll leave it in the description box. Please go give them a like and subscribe. The clip I just played was from News Nation. Please also go give them a like and subscribe. And this is from, hold on just a minute. This is from Rise and Crime. Please give them a like and subscribe. I will link all of these videos in the description box after the live. All right, let's see what she had to say.
But we have a little bit more information since the Letcher County Sheriff stood before the court in his preliminary hearing on Tuesday. Now, I brought you this story back on the September 23rd episode of Rise in Crime. And in that episode, I gave you the information that was being reported, but I also hinted that online rumors were circulating wildly. It now seems that some of those rumors had a little bit of validity. So here's your reminder about details from the shooting on September 19th that left Kentucky Judge Kevin Mullins dead and Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins arrested and charged with murder. Mickey and Judge Mullins were longtime friends. Before being elected as sheriff in 2018, Mickey served as Judge Mullins' bailiff. And even without that connection, it would have been hard to not be friends in this very small community. These two run in the same legal circles, and both seem to be friendly and liked by the community. Well, on that Thursday, Mickey had been reported to have been at the courthouse and even in Judge Mullen's chambers, quite possibly due to a lawsuit that had been filed against Mickey. Okay, as a reminder, here's the details of that lawsuit. A sheriff's deputy had been accused of removing the ankle monitor from an at-home arrest criminal in exchange for sexual favors. It's a form of rape, however you want to couch it. Now
she's going to recap it. But we know all of this. So we can just listen to the recap in case anybody's new and hasn't heard about this.
Favors or that rape, it all allegedly occurred in Judge Mullen's chambers. Mickey was giving a deposition in regards to that lawsuit. Now, witnesses said it seemed the two had even lunched together that day. In the early afternoon, it was reported that Mickey returned to the judge's chambers when nearby employees heard gunshots. Mickey exited the chambers and waited to be arrested. Okay, that's the initial information that was shared in the media, and that's what I brought you on Rise in Crime. But in the courtroom on Tuesday, the video was played for the presiding judge and also for the gallery of what occurred inside those chambers. So that might...
Trigger warning. I don't know if she's going to play it, but I just wanted to give you guys a trigger warning real quick.
Leave you asking, why is there a camera in the judge's chambers? Well, it could be because sexual favors had been performed inside those chambers, maybe. Or maybe it was just county policy. But there is video of what went on. Now, I'm going to play a portion of the video, but let's talk first about that lunch that happened that day. It seems the lunch included more people than Mickey and Judge Mullins. Other people at the lunch heard Judge Mullins ask Mickey if they needed to meet privately that day. Now, that's all that witness heard. We have no further context to the comment other than it should be a private meeting. At roughly 3 o'clock that day, the two met inside the judge's chambers. According to testimony at the hearing on Tuesday, on that video, you can see that Mickey made at least one phone call on his own cell phone and then at least one phone call on the judge's phone. According to testimony given by the detective, those calls were to Mickey's daughter, Lila. And before we jump to conclusions that there was a sexual relationship with Judge Mullins and Mickey's daughter, who seems to be about 17 years old, I want to read to you what was written in the GoFundMe that was set up by Mickey's sister-in-law. Okay, here it is verbatim. My name is Ginger Isaac. I am Caroline's sister-in-law. Okay, Caroline is Mickey's wife. I am setting this donation page because so many people have asked, and this is the only way I can think of to be helpful. Please consider donating to assist the family of Sheriff Mickey Steins to help with the expenses they will encounter during this tragic time. This family is near and dear to my family's hearts. The rumor about their daughter being sexually abused is false. We don't want anyone to donate under false pretenses. Mickey and Caroline have spent their lives taking care of others.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, her sister is married to the DA, okay? So let's say that for whatever reason, Mickey Steins is corrupt and the DA had to try that case. Like, it would tear their family apart because his wife is sisters with the wife of Mickey Steins. I think it is being done in another county, but like, could you imagine having to prosecute your brother-in-law and what it's going to do to your wife and his wife and your nephews and nieces and your kids? Like, that would be a hard place to be in. I think it is in another county now, but I was thinking about that last night and I was like, oh my God. And about what happened to the daughter, it could be true or it could not be true. I know personally, if something like that was going around for the whole world to hear, I would try to protect my daughter and say it wasn't true, even if it was. It doesn't make sense that he tried to call somebody several times from his phone and then called that person one time from the judge's phone before he shot the judge. And rumor has it, it's the daughter. So I believe it to be real, but I do think, again, if it was my child, I would be saying it's not true as well. Good morning, Angela. Nice to see you.
Want to help take care of them. If you cannot donate, please share this on social media. The family desires prayers for everyone who has been affected. All right, then there's an edit to the page, and it reads like this. We were made aware we cannot use this platform to assist in fees regarding this case. The funds will be used for the needs of Caroline and Lila. Now, I felt like I needed to respond to those accusations right at the top. Now, that doesn't mean that people aren't still saying it was an inappropriate relationship. And we could find out it possibly was. But as of now, it has been stated by members of the family that there is not a sexual relationship between Lila and Judge Mullins.
I think there was an inappropriate relationship. Very inappropriate, in my opinion.
But the facts stated in court are that Sheriff Steins called his daughter from Judge Mullins' phone. And after doing so, he stood from his seat and pulled a gun. Now, this portion of the video was played in court, and I'm going to play now. If you want to see the video, you can find it on the YouTube feed. And there is no audio from the camera that was located in the judge's chambers. But while this video was played in court, you can hear the sobbing of the family of Judge Mullins. Here, just give it a listen.
Is that a portion of the video? Yes. Portion of the video. Yes.
Now, during that sobbing, for those who couldn't see the video, it's a small desk. These are not grand judges' chambers. The walls are...
It was a very small desk, and it looked like a small room. And I agree, Diane. I agree with your comment 100%.
They're really just cinder block. So if you have kind of like a Law and Order, you know, the TV show, and a vision in your mind of what judges' chambers look like, just scratch that. And then another thing, the sheriff isn't wearing a traditional sheriff's uniform. He is in an untucked polo and maybe some khakis. After he makes the call, he pulls the gun and shoots the judge. The judge slumps behind the small desk. And as Mickey is leaving the room, he turns around and shoots the judge again. When he does that part, he kind of has to lean down, almost hidden behind the desk. And that's when he fires the other shot. That's because Judge Mullins is on the floor behind the desk. Then,
and I stated before, we see him shoot him, and then we see him turn around. I imagine he said something like, you know, fuck you, motherfucker, or bet you won't ever do that again, will you? Or something to that effect, and then continued shooting him. He said something, in my opinion, to the judge.
And Mickey leaves the room, and the video that was played in the courtroom is cut off. We do know there is more video, but they didn't play it on Tuesday. And we know that other things were kept secret or close to the vest or hidden. Choose whatever word you want. But here's just one of those things. The detective told the judge in the hearing that the cell phones belonging to Mickey and to Judge Mullins were collected and that a forensic audit is being performed on those phones. But Lila's phone has not been collected. It's a little weird, right? Lila has been interviewed, and those interviews were not shared in court either. The detective did tell the judge that when Mickey was being arrested...
Why has that child's phone not been collected? When we know, or are pretty positive, that the dad called her from that phone, from his phone and the judge's phone. Why has that child's phone not been collected? The amount of evidence that's possible and more than likely on that phone has to be taken into account for the case to be done correctly. So again, are they botching this one just like they did with the Jack Blair case? Carrie said that's what Jen Soto should have been doing about her baby, because she never acted upset, just matter of fact, and never got upset till the officer broke down what happened with her protecting Stefan. I agree. You're on it, like daggone it with that one, Corey.
That he said the phrase, "They're trying to kidnap my wife and kid." And at best, that's cryptic. So we don't really know what's happening there. What about the lawsuit? And does it play any part, or was that just an unfortunate coincidence that was linked to the shooting? NPR is reporting that Mickey.
Y'all, I'm sorry if you hear my rappers. I'm eating candy. I'm craving chocolate. Most women know what that means, and I was opening my candy, so I'm sorry if y'all hear that. It's them little I call them, I say it, Ferrero Rocher collection. It's got like the little chocolates that have hazelnut in them. I'm eating the crap out of them, like I'm smashing them right now. So I'm sorry if y'all heard the rappers.
Mickey was not deposed on the day of the shooting. This is all despite original reports. Instead, he was deposed a few days prior, and that during that deposition, he was extremely agitated. NPR also said that Mickey's odd behavior continued after the deposition ended. They said when someone from the county's weekly paper, the Mountain Eagle, called him to get a quote about a fatal accident, something that was totally not related, it took Mickey hours to respond. Now, normally, he would have returned calls almost immediately. In some comments that have been made by locals, it's been inferred that this man basically worked 24/7, and he was always accessible. Okay, it gets a little bit more weird.
What was on his mind so bad that he couldn't return the phone call like normal? Like, that lets me know he's thinking about something real hard, to the point of where he can't even like do his job. It's bothering him so bad.
Sheriff later told the newspaper that he instructed everyone at the sheriff's office not to speak with reporters until he returned the phone calls. All right, strangely, Mickey told the newspaper he had lost 40 pounds in 2 weeks, and he had no idea what was going on with himself. So we have more information. We've got a really disturbing video of the murder, but mostly we still just have cryptic reasons about the why. It could be an inappropriate relationship, but the family says no to that. It could be that his wife and daughter were in danger, but detectives didn't expand on that theory in court. And it could be that Mickey was experiencing some sort of health or mental crisis. But we get that from context clues only, which can be accurate sometimes, and then sometimes they're completely wrong. We do know this. The sheriff is no longer the sheriff. He retired on Monday amid calls for his resignation. Even the governor, Andy Beshears, asked him to step down. We also know that a future court date for Mickey has not been set. He did plead not guilty, and his case will now move to the grand jury phase, which will be held in secret. So we won't get much info there either. I have joined a couple of local Facebook groups just to lurk, just to kind of follow and see what the people in this very small town are saying. I'll give you a little hint at something that might be surfacing later on down the road. Locals are saying that Judge Mullins, Sheriff Mickey, and a local pastor were all involved in facilitating a drug rehab program. Some problems with maybe honesty and money in the program.
Look, and this is coming from the Facebook group of the people in the town, right? What have I been saying this whole time? If they're brazen enough to have relations in the courthouse, then there's probably drugs being moved, probably money being laundered, all kinds of things. You get grants to run drug rehabilitation programs and all kinds of things like that. Like I'm wondering again if there's actual bodies. Was Jack Blair one of those bodies? Has it been going on for generations? Is this, small town Kentucky doing like they were in Alma, Arkansas? You have to look into that if you haven't. Bill Clinton bringing cocaine into Alma, Arkansas. That's an interesting one. There's a bunch of unsolved murders there. Maybe one day we can look into that, but I have a feeling that the same kind of thing was going on in this county.
are being
Hey,
rumored and talked
Astro.
about on these
Hey,
local
good to see
forums.
you.
Once more, I'll let you know more information when I can confirm it, and I'll bring it to you here on Rise and Crime. Now, you all know by now that I live in a medium-sized city in Idaho. We have very typical chain restaurants here. So when I stumbled across this story about Shaquille O'Neal's Big Chicken restaurant and the skirmish that happened outside its most recent grand opening, I had to look into it. And Shaq, for me, is super intriguing. In a world where we highlight...
Okay, well, that's not cool. It tricked me. I thought they were saying a fight broke out in the town of Kentucky where this happened. That stinks. Anyway, we got a recap of the case nonetheless. So I'm going to share my Google tab, and we're going to look up Jack Blair and see what we can find on that case in particular. So Jack Blair, it was Pine Mountain. I tried to look up like unsolved or suspicious murders, but I couldn't really find anything. So this is from Web Sleuths. Oh yeah, we need to check Reddit too. Okay, so there is a picture of him, and it says, let me make sure you guys can see this. Okay, sorry. In October 2000, Jack Blair was found dead inside his car more than 200 feet over Pine Mountain along US 119. So let's think glow. There's the road. So we need to write that down. US 119. In Letcher County. His body was wrapped in jumper cables. Just before his disappearance, Blair was arrested in a cocaine conspiracy case. He later pleaded guilty to the charges. However, Bowling tells WYMT that this is not the man her father was. We were kept completely in the dark. You know, you hear the term people having a double life. He had a double life because as far as we knew, he got up in the mornings and he went to work. And he came home and he was our dad, said Boiling. So it says people quickly concluded someone killed Blair because he had squealed to the cops about big-time drug dealers, even though police insist Blair never told them about any drug activity except his own. That is a weird case. I just clicked that link. Oh, it says it's not found. Okay, so let me make sure. Yep, y'all can still see. Let's look up. What is another one? Dexter Cook. Sorry about the lawnmower. My son is mowing grass. I don't know if y'all can hear it. Dexter Cook. Let's see what's going on with this one. There's the obituary. Oh, 1984. Let me put 1984. Should have put a space. Okay, right here. I think that's the one that I pulled the pages from. Yeah, that's the... Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything. So we're going to look up unsolved murders and homicides, Letcher County, Kentucky. I did it last night and I wasn't able to pull up anything. Or unusual. Let's look up unusual, like Jenny said. Homicides. We'll do Pine Mountain, Kentucky. Maybe it'll pull up around the same area. Okay, let's see. Jennifer L. Bailey. I was going to do a Reddit search too, so we'll go ahead and pull up Reddit in a minute. Okay, so this is the murder of Jennifer L. Bailey. Pine Mountain State Resort Park was Kentucky's first state park. It is an area of outstanding natural beauty. In 1990, it became a place of tragedy. Jennifer Bailey was a keen runner who would routinely visit the sprawling state park to exercise. Early on Thursday, August 16th, 1990, the 21 drove her mother's Mercury Cougar out to the park, reaching it about 11 a.m. She placed her wallet and keys under the front seat and left the car unlocked, as she usually did, presumably because running with keys is a pain. Before going on a run, she never made it back. When Jennifer didn't return home to the town of Greasy Creek, Kentucky, her parents, Albert and Janice, began to worry. Jennifer had spoken to her mother that morning. She said she would come straight home after running. Jennifer, her parents said, was the type of girl to always let them know her plans. She'd even let them know she was running late. The couple waited for hours before calling the police and reporting their daughter missing. Troopers with Kentucky State Police followed the Baileys' guidance on their daughter's habits and found the Mercury Cougar parked where Jennifer left it. It had been abandoned with no signs of struggle, and her wallet and keys were where she had left them. A pharmacy bag of medication, which Jennifer had told her mother she'd pick up for her before her run, was also in the car, undisturbed. A search lasting over a week was begun. On August 26, 1990, about 1.5 miles from where Jennifer's car was parked, her body was found over a bluff. Several items of clothing were missing, and she appeared to have been strangled to death. The area through which she'd been running was known as the Fat Track and was apparently popular with runners. Despite a police investigation to date, no one has ever been held accountable for Jennifer's murder. In 2020, Kentucky State Police launched a fresh appeal for information. Someone out there may know where they might have went to, know some type of information. That's why we're saying any information is great information for us. Nothing is too small. If you know anything, may know anything, make that call, said Shane Jacobs with the Kentucky State Police. Thursday, Kentucky State Police released never before known information to the public of items Bailey was wearing the day she went missing. Officials hope that people who may have been gifted or bought any of these items at a pawn shop would say where they found these or who they got these items from. Kentucky State Police say they are looking for pastel-colored jogging shorts and a white tank top. Bailey was also listening to music on a General Electric small black AM/FM portable cassette tape player. She had on a black and tan Velcro belt, small yellow gold diamond chipped earrings, and a Timex with a brown band with imitation alligator skin. What are your thoughts? Was Jennifer targeted by someone who knew her routine? Was this an opportunistic crime by someone else who was walking or running the trail that day? Who knows? It's weird. Let's look on Reddit for unsolved murders, Letcher County. Okay. One of Tennessee's and Kentucky's worst crime is a series of murders known as the Redhead Murders. Let's see where this one is out of. So that's a serial killer right there. I'll read the first paragraph. It says one of Tennessee and Kentucky's worst unsolved crimes is a series of murders known as the Redhead Murders. If we can solve any unprecedented number of murders in 2018, why not the Redhead Murders? The redhead murders are a series of unsolved homicides believed to have been committed by an unidentified serial killer, also known as the Bible Belt Strangler, in various parts of the United States, including Tennessee, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. It's presumed that the killings occurred between October 1978 and the 1980s, but they may have continued until 1992. Law enforcement in 3 states, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee, said the same killer could be responsible for strangling 3 red-haired women found in their states. The possibility some killer targeted red-haired women across the South from the late 1970s through the early 90s is a nearly forgotten mystery today. So we're going to look real quick, unsolved mysteries, because that's what that other one was in. Yep. Unsolved mysteries, and then we'll see what we can find about specifically Kentucky. Okay. Let's see who Isabella Willingham was. Let me see what y'all are saying real quick because I can't see it when I'm on that page. Kentucky is not a state you hear much about. The only thing I can come up with is the female swimmer Riley Gaines. I think that was a boy. I could be completely wrong on that though. I don't even like... Okay. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. Oh, you're welcome, Corey. Yeah, Joy, a serial killer. We'll have to look into that sometime. The redhead serial killer or the Bible Belt Strangler. Okay, so this one is Isabella Willingham. Months after Isabella or Bella Willingham was found unresponsive and severely injured in her dorm room in a case that has baffled her family and law enforcement. The former Osbury University student is still trying to piece together what happened that day. I don't know where Osbury is. So I'm not sure if this is in Kentucky, but I did search specifically Kentucky. She suffered injuries that included bruises, cuts, and deep gashes. She was missing 8 acrylic nails, her family said. Willingham is in therapy and is coping with some of her painful injuries, which are scarring and may require medical procedures to cover, her family has said. She still doesn't remember what happened to her, and authorities are no closer to solving the mystery. That's crazy. It is 100% baffling what happened to this young lady. Jessamine County Sheriff, so it's Jessamine County Sheriff Carriff Grimes said, in some way, shape, or form or fashion, she's a victim just like anybody else. We 100% believe something happened. We just don't know what. That's crazy. Poor baby. Okay, I'm not going to finish that. So we got Madison County, Kentucky. Her son vanished after a 1980s run-in with police. Randy Sellers disappeared after a run-in with police at a Kentucky County fair in 1980. This is from the New York Times. All right, this will probably be it for me today as far as this goes. Yeah, in her dorm room, right? That's crazy. Poor baby. Somebody probably drugged her, gave her date rape or something, and was trying to kill her. That's crazy. So I'm going to read this article about this young man who vanished in 1980 after a run-in with police in Kentucky. That's a handsome young man right there. Okay. Investigators in Kentucky have pursued many leads in the search for Randy Sellers, except for what some critics say is the most obvious one. At first, Wanda Cotton searched the water. She crossed the railroad tracks and scrambled down the banks of Licking River, calling out the name of her teenage son, Randy, who went to the county fair one night and never came home. Miss Cotton, 2 inches shy of 5 feet tall and unable to swim, would return covered in mud and scratches. It got so when the neighbors saw her coming, they went inside. They were like, oh, I don't want no part of that. What on earth? Randy Sellers was missing for weeks, then years, then decades. For Miss Cotton, the steep slopes of the river running past her home in Kenton County, Kentucky, were replaced by even more treacherous terrain, unsolved grief, and unanswered questions about 2 police officers who were with Randy that night. He vanished in 1980, the year before the disappearance of 6-year-old Adam Walsh in Florida would change the way America looked at missing children. Adam's father, John Walsh, became a household name and beacon for parents like Miss Cotton, who felt alone and ignored by the authorities. Miss Cotton met Mr. Walsh and joined an emerging movement of families whose advocacy led to the first databases of missing children, the appearance of lost children's photos on milk cartons and mailers, and federal law requiring the FBI to step in if parents asked. I didn't know it was a law that the FBI had to step in if parents asked. That's interesting to know. Since my son's disappearance, I have made missing children my life, Miss Cotton told a congressional subcommittee in 1985. I feel the word missing is part of my name. Miss Cotton gave comfort advice to families dealing with missing children, but the one question she could never answer was her own. What happened to Randy? From the morning his parents reported Randy missing, the police seemed to be 2 steps behind. Yet the last people known to have seen him alive were 2 officers who were supposed to take Randy home after he got drunk at the fair. In the years that followed, the investigation would take vertiginous twists and turns. There was a neighbor who turned out to be a Chester, and a drifter who professed to be a serial killer, a psychic nurse who said she knew where Randy's body was buried, and a naval officer who claimed he could detect magnetic currents surrounding corpses. That's actually probably a thing. There are magnetic frequencies and things that can be picked up. I don't know if it in finding corpses specifically, but John Walsh did change the game with Unsolved Mysteries. I'm reading your comments now. Yes, he is a man. I think they. Okay. I didn't know that, Anders. I thought that, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm being insensitive. I thought it was okay. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to finish the article. Okay, yet no trace of Randy has ever been found, and no one has ever managed to quiet the suspicions Miss Cotton has about the officers who were with Randy that night. Now 77, she lives in an assisted living facility. Her younger son, Tyran, died decades ago. Her husband, John, died of cancer in February 2023. God left me here for a reason, she said, to find Randy, or to let whoever did something to him know that, no, I'm not going to let it be forgotten. Well, I'm going to help you not let it be forgotten by talking about it, if I can. An officer reported that he took Vesala Road in his efforts to get Randy home from the county fair. On the Saturday night he disappeared, Randy Sellers was ready to party. He wore a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. Hey now, I love Led Zeppelin. And his hair fell in a cascade that girls found alluring. Meeting up with his friends at the fair, he flashed a $50 bill he had just been paid for a roofing job and proceeded to share a pint of whiskey, smoke some pot, wash some Quaaludes down with a Coca-Cola. A friend later recounted in an affidavit. Eventually, witnesses said he could not stand up. Boy, if you got paid $50 for a roofing job today, somebody would be mighty mad. The police took Randy to their on-site trailer where they determined that he was 17, a minor, and looked for someone who could take him home. Security at the fair was provided by volunteer officers from the Kenton County Police Reserve. Eventually, the reserve officer in charge that night, Sergeant Robert Weiner, decided to drive Randy home himself. Randy was known to the county police as a hellraiser. He had been to juvenile detention, more recently had been hospitalized for drug use, according to deposition transcripts. Sergeant Weiner was told by a supervisor that if Randy caused problems, he should be taken to jail, according to the transcript of the police radio communications that night. So real quick, while I checked the comments, I was thinking maybe he overdosed, but if the police were having issues with him, then it might not be an overdose. They might have just got tired of it and took him out. Friends and family later said Randy knew that coming home to his mother and stepfather wasted was going to get him in trouble at a hopeful time when he had earned his GED and was planning to become an iron worker like his stepfather. As a patrol car neared the county road where Randy's family lived, he suddenly came over the seat, Sergeant Warner later wrote in his report, striking the officer in the forehead and grabbing him around the neck. Sergeant Weiner called for backup, and Randy was transferred to the patrol car of Jay Sifried, a full-fledged officer who had been on the force for 8 years. But Randy refused to point out his house, officer said. Finally, the two patrol cars pulled over near a railway overpass in the tiny town of Bisalisa and let him out, the officers said in their report. He was about a half mile from his family's home. Maybe something happened at that railroad pass, that bridge. It says Miss Cotton and her husband John erected a headstone for Randy before John died. It sits beside the headstone of her younger son, Tyrion, who died decades ago. Miss Cotton wears a locket with a photo of her son every day. That's so sad for that mama. I feel bad for her. On Sunday morning, after hearing from the neighbors who were at the fair, Cottons called the police, who said Randy was not in custody. They called hospitals, friends, and relatives. No one had seen him. It was an error before dashboard cameras, body cameras, or cell phones could have provided clues. All the Cottons had was a handwritten note from Randy saying he had gone to the fair. That Monday, the police told the family that officers had dropped Randy off without taking him home. The young man was to turn 18 in 2 weeks. It was not yet 10 p.m., and I felt there was absolutely no danger in releasing him in a familiar neighborhood. Excuse me, sir, but a railway bridge overpass is not a familiar neighborhood. That's going to be like by some busy roads and probably out in the middle of BFE. But okay. Officer Seafree wrote in the summary of the episode for his supervisors. A search was launched on Monday, but the Cottons felt it lacked urgency. That afternoon, a county police official requested help from a water rescue team from neighboring Boone County, according to a call log. After being told there would be a charge, the Kenton office official replied, "If there's a fee, just forget it," according to the call log. And when the Cottons found out, they protested the water rescue team, and the water rescue team was brought in the next day to do the search in the Licking River. 2 weeks later, an officer thought he spotted Randy in the back seat of a Mustang but lost the car in traffic. The Cottons, for their part, jumped on every lead. They called the police when they spotted buzzards at a nearby dump. When Miss Cotton learned that Wade Gibson, a neighbor who had given Randy a ride to the fair, had pleaded guilty to being a Chester of a stepchild, she told the police she was certain Randy was buried on the hill behind the Gibson's trailer. Increasingly frustrated by the investigation, Miss Cotton and her husband even sued the county. They claimed the police had recklessly endangered Randy by failing to take him into custody or hand him over to his parents in 1984. The Cottons received a $21,000 settlement and a promise that the police would follow every lead on Randy and not to close the file until he is found. This is, the officers said their reports, they let Randy out near this railway overpass in the tiny town of Bissell, Kentucky. So they let him out. This is where they let him out at. That don't look like a familiar neighborhood to me. Yeah, Sergeant Weiner, I know, right? It sounds fishy. Hold on. I don't know why y'all can't see. Lord have mercy. Sorry, y'all. Let me show y'all the pictures. I didn't know that y'all weren't able to see this. I thought it was the same one. Okay, so the police let him out here at this railway overpass. Okay, that don't look like a familiar place to me. That looks like out in the middle of BFE. Let me show you his, that's the headstones that she had erected. That's for the dad, and that's for the two boys, her son and Randy. That's the locket that I was telling you about that she keeps in her pocket. This is the road. It says an officer reported that he took Busilla Road in his efforts to get Randy home from the county fair. Sorry, I didn't know y'all couldn't see this, so I want to make sure to show you the pictures. And that's his mama. She says, since my son has disappeared, I've made missing children my life. Wanda Cotton told a congressional subcommittee in 1985. And this is Licking River, which runs through northern Kentucky. So that's what we get to see so far. That looks sus AF to me. Like, you dropped him off here and expected him to walk home, and he was on freaking, couldn't even hardly stand up. But you supposedly dropped him off here and expected him to walk home, a young man that could barely stand up. Are you freaking kidding me? This is sus AF. Okay, so let's continue reading. In the 1990s, the police pursued a claim by an incarcerated man that Randy was one of more than 70 people he had killed. Officers, forensics, anthropologists, and cadaver dogs repeatedly searched a state park, and federal marshals even transported the man from federal prison to Kentucky in hopes that he would indicate where the body had been buried. Far less energy was devoted to examining a possibility much closer to home, that the police had played some role in this disappearance. Excuse me. Early on, the two officers who dealt with Randy that night passed polygraph exams through subsequent studies, including by a congressional commission, have concluded that the polygraph tests are neither scientifically valid nor especially effective. From the beginning, the accounts of two officers present that night differed on basic facts, like what time they dropped him off, which side of the railroad trestle they were on, and how intoxicated the teenager was. In the mid-2000s, Detective Fred Scroggins of the Kentucky State Police began investigating tips that Randy was buried on a property belonging to the father of a law enforcement officers who had been friends with Officer Siegfried. He interviewed Mr. Weiner then in his 60s and close to retirement from a job as a maintenance man. Both officers had repeatedly said, including in depositions, that they had not hit or harmed Randy. But in this interview with Detective Scroggins, Mr. Weiner changed his story, saying that Officer Siegfried had stopped behind a nearby store and smacked the teen in the face. Mr. Weiner, apparently realizing the significance of what he had just said, tried to backpedal. Mr. Scroggins said in an interview, but Mr. Scroggins, who is retired from policing, said that after the disclosure, his whole mood and mindset and everything had changed. This guy was in emotional distress. This is an age-progressed picture of what Randy would look like in 2011. Mr. Scroggins thought that the next step was to interview Mr. Siegfried, who lives outside of Chicago, but he could not get permission to go. He said that the trip was too expensive. A Kentucky State Police spokesman, Captain Paul Blanton, said Detective Scroggins' notes did not reflect that he had made a request to travel. What? So he didn't even ask to go talk to this other officer? What? Yeah, Angela, I couldn't imagine going through life with that name either. Virginia Braden, the Cottons, their hopes dashed after the serial killer proved to be a dead end, were left with their original suspicions. I always thought the cops did something because they denied it. They denied having him, Miss Cotton said. Virginia Braden, a private investigator who has been examining the case pro bono, said she was struck by how many people with some connection to the case were still around. I think what's unusual is the amount of time that has passed and the lack of willingness to take the common sense next step, she said. In September 2022, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children sent 2 retired law enforcement officers to review the seller's file. The investigators came to much the same conclusion as Mr. Scroggins. The most glaring and probable suspects regarding the MP's disappearance and probable death are 2 members of law enforcement, the investigators wrote in a 17-page report to Kentucky State Police. They were especially critical of Mr. Siegfried, noting he had a history of wrecking cruisers and had been caught flirting with a woman while he was supposed to be on patrol and had quite the year after Randy disappeared, stating that, maybe he's they're referencing maybe he is emotionally upset about what had happened. That's the private investigator. And this is near where Randy was believed to have gone missing. See, again, that's not a friendly neighborhood. That's out in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to read this last paragraph, this last section right here, and then that'll be it for us today. Y'all can look more into this if you would like. The investigators wrote that Mr. Siegfried's arrogance, which they said was apparent in his statements and disciplinary records, could be exploited in a professional interrogation in a law enforcement setting to prevent him from being too comfortable and controlling. When approached by a reporter outside his home in Libertyville, Illinois, Mr. Siegfried, 73, declined to comment, saying, "There's nothing to look into from my perspective." A woman who answered the door at the rural Kentucky home of Mr. Wiener, now 79, declined to speak to the reporter. Okay, so let's talk about what we have to look into. We've got Angela Roberts, who was murdered March 7th in 2024, and then her daughter, Patricia May or Trish Roberts Deathridge, who was murdered August 1st, 2023. That's a mother and daughter. Curtis Cash Halcomb, 11, was murdered May 21st, 2024. Jack Blair, June and July 2000. And then Dexter Cook, June 4th of 1984 are ones that we have to look into. Also, the police captain at the time with the Jack Blair incident was Captain Danny Webb. And after Danny Webb retired, that's when Mickey Steins became sheriff. Dr. Emily Craig in Frankfurt uses Jack Blair as an example of what not to do. And some newspapers in the area are the Mountain Eagle and the Courier Journal. So, if you guys want to look more into corruption in Kentucky, there are some places to start. I really appreciate you guys being here today. Thank you so much. I know this wasn't what we usually talk about. I just wanted to kind of dig into this stuff with you guys and get your thoughts and opinions on it and see what you had to say about police corruption. Tomorrow we will go over probably the interviews with Jennifer Soto, but the Quentin Simon case has started. So one day, in the next 2 days, one day we're going to talk about what's happened so far in court in the Quentin Simon case. And then another day we're going to talk about interviews I've been getting out about Jennifer Soto. I have one out today, and then I've got another one. I think it's actually a longer one from one of the roommates to get out today. I'm going to work on that. Y'all, thanks. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for chatting. Diane, Eek, Angela, Anders. I don't know who else was here. I know Michelle was here earlier, and Corey and JR. Trying to scroll up. I don't know how back it'll go. The Astro. Angela. That was the other one. Joy. Solistic Glow. Jenny Jen, of course. My lovely Jenny Jen. And anybody else that might have been here, if you're watching the replay, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Just you guys watching and participating helps me out so much. Thank you guys so much. I hope today is the best Thursday you have ever experienced in your whole entire life. I hope you win the lottery. I hope all the wonderful things come your way today. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.